Hi,
Hi.
welcome back. So Gilberta's banner just came out, and aside from her being the cutest thing in existence, her kit design is definitely one of the coolest in the game, specifically because of how well it works with the combat and element system, and specifically again with the teams that Gilberta is gonna be great in. She looks to be just as versatile as Ardelia, if not even more, which makes her extremely valuable. So let's take a look today at how to play Gilberta. We'll take a quick look at her best gear sets and her best weapons, then we'll take a pretty deep look into how to play her and find the teams that take full advantage of her to do as much damage as possible. Just before we get into the content, so many gacha games have been releasing some really exciting stuff recently, so let me talk to you about LootBar.gg. LootBar is a recharge platform that provides safe top-ups and packs for various gacha games, including Arknights, Genshin Impact, HSR, and now even Arknights Endfield. It is up to 23% cheaper than official game stores, and you can get the $70 Ur Geometry pack for just $60 instead on LootBar. You get instant delivery of your rewards using LootBar's self-top-up service, which routes you through the game itself. It's a trustworthy site I and so many others have used so many times before, with thousands of great reviews and 4.9 stars on Trustpilot. They've got 7 days after sales customer support and guaranteed refunds, so do me and you both a favor by signing up through my link to start using LootBar and saving some real money on gacha games and Arknights Endfield. Now let's get back into the content. So first and foremost, let's take a quick look at what Gilberta does. She is basically the Kazuha of Arknights Endfield. Her basic attack is pretty basic, but her skill pulls enemies together and then applies nature infliction when the gravity well she creates implodes. Her combo skill triggers when an arts reaction is applied to the enemy, which deals damage and forcibly lifts enemies in a small AoE. Arts reactions are of course things like electrification, combustion, and corrosion. Do not confuse those with arts inflictions like heat, cryo, or nature. Arts reactions are either forcibly applied by things like Ardelia's combo skill, or applied when two arts inflictions meet, like how an enemy becomes frozen if any arts infliction is hit with a cryo infliction. Her ultimate creates a gravity field that applies nature infliction, slow, and arts susceptibility to the enemy. This arts susceptibility also becomes stronger when the enemy has further vulnerability stacks. Her first combat talent increases allied guards, casters, and supporters' ultimate gain efficiency by 4 and 7% at levels 1 and 2, and her second combat talent gives a small heal depending on Gilberta's intellect when she hits at least 2 enemies with either her combo or last sequence of her battle skill. This healing also affects the lowest HP operators if the controlled operator is at max HP, which is some pretty good utility for when your operators run out of healing items. If you're interested in her potentials, her P1 increases her battle skill effect radius by 20%, and her P2 makes the vulnerability stacks multiply the effect of her ultimate's art susceptibility, and also treats vulnerability stacks with 1 additional stack at a max of 4. Her P3 and P4 make her get her ultimate more frequently, and her P5 reduces her combo skill cooldown and increases its damage. And the final thing to look at before the true meat and potatoes, let's take a look at her best weapons and gear sets. Her best, most consistent weapon is going to be her signature, giving ultimate gain efficiency and gives the team arts damage when she applies lifted, stacking with more enemies. Then the second best is going to be the one that you get for free from the battle pass. This one instead gives arts damage boost when the wearer applies nature inflictions, and it is slightly weaker than her real signature, obviously. The 5-star weapon Stanza of Memorials is also great on her, increasing max HP and increasing the party's attack when they have a different element than the wearer after the wearer casts an ultimate. For heat and electric specific teams, like with Aviwenna or Lava Cake, you can also use the OBJ Arts Identifier 5-star weapon, which gives the team extra heat and electric damage dealt when the wearer applies a physical status. Her best gear set is going to be Eternal Sheeranite, which increases HP and gives teammates a damage dealt boost when the wearer applies one of these statuses. Either way, let's actually talk about what's important here, which are Gilberta's best teams. First off, Gilberta, as we said, is going to be on the level of Ardelia, however you definitely cannot forget how powerful Perlica is. If you are somebody who's F2P or doesn't have funds, then Perlica will do a lot of what Gilberta does other than the healing, nature infliction, and crowd control. They both love the administrator just as much too. She does work extremely well with every single 6-star DPS currently in the game, but does not replace Perlica or Arclight or Antal in the Aviwenna team. If you're an Aviwenna main, then you don't need Gilberta unless you want to make your second team more powerful. With Lavatain, Gilberta would most likely replace Akikuri. Aside from all art susceptibility debuffs that she gives to increase Lavatain's damage, while you'll receive less skill points, you'll have enemies grouped up so that your Wolfguard and Ardelia apply corrosion much more consistently to all enemies so your Lavatain can do a lot more damage. Applying heat with Wolfguard or Lavatain's skill, then nature with Gilberta applies corrosion, or doing the opposite applies combustion, which also contributes to more Lava Cake combo skills. If you want to make your Lavatain even stronger, then Gilberta is a great premium team option option. I will have to do a lot of testing though just to see how much Gilberta is stronger than Akikuri for Lavatain, since you'll receive a lot less skill point economy and heat inflictions, but you'll be doing a lot more damage because of the susceptibilities. You can also do a team with Gilberta, Akikuri, and Wolfguard, with Gilberta replacing Ardelia, or even one where she replaces Wolfguard. These team cases are when you find yourself constantly running out of skill points, and you can mix and match and find your favorites, but Lavatain isn't the only character Gilberta is good with, since she is very versatile. You might have noticed the lifted status and instantly thought of physical teams, but to make a physical team with Gilberta, you'd have to do something pretty weird. Gilberta only applies lift with her combo skill, and her combo skill triggers when an arts reaction is applied to an enemy, which means that a normal physical team, say with Chen and Gilberta, will almost never proc Gilberta's combo skill to the enemy. Which means you'll want another physical team unit that is actually another element so you can apply arts reactions. You might at first think of Ember since she's a heat sustain unit for physical teams, but she doesn't actually apply any heat inflictions unfortunately, which would have made for some really good team comps. So then I'd instead use something like Pogniknik, Lifeng, or Chen, but Lifeng would be better, than Ardelia and Gilberta. Pog is there for damage and SP, Lifeng is there for knockdowns and physical susceptibility, then Ardelia is there for healing, for arts and physical susceptibilities, and for the corrosion reaction, which would proc Gilberta's combo skill and allow her to apply lift that Lifeng could then knock down for more vulnerability stacks. Either way though, I'd say a much more fun team would be in combination with Estella and Ailish to create a Shadow Team comp, which would be very cool. This team could either be Gilberta, Estella, Ailish, and someone like Pogranichnik or Lifeng, or it could be with Yvonne in the 4th slot instead, which would be a pretty good team comp for Yvonne. Shatter is applied when an enemy with solidification is hit with a physical status effect, which Ailish and Estella specialize in. These two deal both cryo and physical damage, so an art susceptibility and the lifted status Gilberta applies would be good for this team. You might want somebody to consume the vulnerability that Estella and Gilberta are gonna apply together, which in this case would be someone like Endman or Pogniknik for crush or breach reactions, but since Gilberta applies more art susceptibility the more vulnerability an enemy has, then Yvonne here would be a great option, because enemies would have 4 perpetual stacks of vulnerability on them during Gilberta's ultimate. That's a lot of theory crafting, and it's certainly a team I'd love to try out, and it might be one of the best teams for Yvonne for overall team damage, but also definitely not the best for Yvonne damage specifically, since that team probably doesn't exist yet. And the versatility doesn't end there, because Gilberta also has a place in Last Strike teams. Last Strike is amazing when enemies are grouped up together, and Gilberta's CC does wonders for her. She'd replace Fluorite and a Last Strike Zaihi Snowshine Fluorite team, or it would become Gilberta instead. However, a con with this team is that you're consuming a cryo infliction to apply solidification or corrosion. It's still a very good team though. There are other teams that I'm not really gonna go in depth right now, but the choices are there, which are a Yvonne team with Zaihi, Snowshine, and Gilberta, a Last Strike Yvonne hybrid team with Gilberta and Zaihi, but this team takes quite some skill to really master, and since Arclight applies electrification, you can replace Perlica with Gilberta as well in the Electro team, or replace Arclight. I wouldn't replace Antal, and definitely not Aviwana since she's the DPS. And you can run Ardelia and Gilberta and a team together to basically allow any unit in the game to do a load of damage. And honestly, any non-physical DPS unit would do tons of damage with a team like Perlica, Gilberta, and Ardelia. These 3 pretty much activate each other's combo skills, so it wouldn't be a bad choice, especially if the main DPS unit you're using synergizes with them as well. And there are definitely so many other teams you can use with Gilberta because she is super versatile, and is here to make team building a lot less rigid and really fun, and I'm especially excited about more nature-centered teams with Gilberta in the future, possibly with Last Strike and Ardelia as well. I am definitely liking Gilberta's kit a lot. So, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and join the Express Train Discord server for a fun and lovely community to hang out with. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.